Hello and welcome back to For You. This week we have a very special guest. We haven't got Adam, unfortunately, this week, but we have got the one and only, I want to make sure I get this right, Great Britain Olympian and England Sevens captain, the one and only Phil Burgess. Hello, Phil, how are you?
Hello, I'm not too bad at all, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. Thank you very much for joining us. For
No
this is
problem.
week 10 For You. I can hardly believe
Week
it's
10.
week 10. We started
Yeah.
this through the COVID crisis, and you've very kindly given us 3 videos so far, Phil.
Hmm.
What were your 3 videos about? Just remind us.
Yeah, so the first video that I did was just around sort of how COVID was affecting myself, like my situation, my family, and then just a few sort of tips on how the rugby side of it has helped me in this sort of situation. And then the other two were about winning and what winning looks like in this sort of situation. I mean, it's very easy in a sporting environment to know what winning looks like, but trying to compare it and use it in sort of the circumstance that we're in. What does winning look like? Moving the goalposts. I think that was, for me at least, it was good because it meant that I could really think about what that meant to other people. And then the third, I think, I'm not sure what order they're in, but was teams, and just how, in the same way within sport, sometimes it's very obvious how your team is and how it interacts and stuff like that. But when you're in a situation like this and you're at home and you're sort of locked down and all that, how your team can change. And then also when you're in a different situation, you don't have people at home and you're sort of by yourself, how that changes. And so it was about just trying to get some of the experiences that I've had with rugby and how the situation's affected me, and hopefully it could sort of apply to other people and they could pick little things that they enjoyed or liked, and or even just a bit of insight into what it's like for little old me.
Well, they were brilliant videos, and they've performed really well on the channel. So a big thank
Well,
you
thank you.
from all of us for sharing those videos with us. Are you doing another one
No
for
problem.
us in over the coming
Yeah, I
weeks?
am. I am doing one in the future. It will be my weeks have been taken up quite a lot recently with a lot more childcare and stuff like that. So the timing of doing it, I've got about an hour slot or an hour and a half, depending on how Bertie's nap goes. So it's a case of getting the content right, getting what I would like to say, and getting it all down, and then just getting it through. But yeah, there will be another one coming as well. So
I think you get him
um,
involved. Have him on the video. It'll
yeah,
be our
well,
best
this is it.
performing video yet.
Yeah. I was going to say, at the moment we've actually just moved him into like a big boy bed. So he used to be in a cot, and so you'd have the camera looking at him, and then you'd know obviously if he wants to get out. But then now he can get out of bed and walk around his room and like empty everything out. And like I went to go and get him the other day, and he was just stood there, and he was almost like, oh, hello, how you doing? And I thought, oh, you didn't want to come out. I'll just leave you to it. I'll leave you in there. But it was lovely. It was lovely, but
Oh.
no, it's just a bit of a change up. So
So thinking back over the COVID crisis, I'm thinking back to that first video that you did. I bet that feels like a distant memory now, almost like a lifetime ago, right?
yeah, no, it really does. And also in terms of when I was doing it, I was thinking about, I wanted to be relevant to people, and I wanted to try and help them out and give them some advice and stuff like that. And in terms of like my delivery, and I wanted it to be real, how things have changed so much in the last sort of 3 months. I wonder how that video would be now if I was doing it for the first time. It's a very strange one, but it does feel like it's months ago, well, quite literally, which is crazy, really. But no, it was, yeah, it's been a crazy time.
It has. It's been unprecedented. I don't think any of us have ever
Yeah.
known a time like it. Now, of course, you are rugby captain. Have you kept yourself in shape over the last few months?
Yeah, so we were sent sort of some sort of advice on weightlifting and stuff like this from home, but at the start of lockdown, I didn't actually have any equipment like everybody really. You don't have stuff at home, And so we were doing a lot of body weight exercises like press ups. And I actually did a few exercises when we didn't know how long we were going to be in lockdown for. So like car pushes and things like that, because you had to actually get something that was heavy enough to do it and to get some sort of physical response and stuff. So everything was sort of running based, and then also body weight, and like that was great, but it ran its course, as you can imagine, sort of after about 7 weeks doing the same sort of stuff. And so I actually invested in like a home gym stuff, some dumbbells, some barbells, and just some weights and stuff, just because for me, like I enjoy going to the gym. I mean, it's been a big part of my life for the last sort of 15 years. Some guys do it because they have to, but I do it because I enjoy it. And that was something that I think was really affecting me personally, was the fact that I couldn't lift weights properly. And then I was getting frustrated about doing like the body weight stuff because I was doing it, but I wasn't enjoying it. And then I wasn't getting the physical response that I wanted and everything like that. And almost like a vanity thing, like with rugby, you're always like, how much do you weigh? Like, what's your, like all that sort of stuff. And through the lockdown period, I've actually lost quite a lot of weight because of not being able to train and not being able to do everything that I wanted to do. And so it was something that in my head, I was like, well, it's not a problem to lose that weight. It's not an issue, but I can do something about the training side of it, which will like sort of hormonally almost make me feel better, because the endorphins and whatever from actually lifting the weights and doing all that sort of stuff will be better for my body, as opposed to sort of just doing, I don't know, like 1,000 press ups or whatever in a week, and then and thinking that was it. But no, so that's how it's changed for me. Like they've tried to freshen up the programs that we've been doing, which has been good. But now I've got a little bit of sort of gym stuff in the garage. It does make it a bit easier for me. So I'm just probably doing more stuff that I would do normally. But it's just easier to do it rather than doing press ups in the garden.
Yeah, sure. I bet your neighbours. Well, I don't know. Do the neighbours prefer that or not? Are they? Are they looking out the window and they go, "Where's our eye candy gone?"
Well, I don't know about that. I think they probably think I'm a bit weird, because there's one bit of the garden where there's like a little bit of a concrete square, and so I use that sometimes when I'm doing like my vertical jumps and things like that. And so the neighbour sitting on that side must just see my head popping up every now and again, like oh. Like this, and see, wonder if I'm all right.
I've got a flashback now to a meme I saw a couple of days ago of a dog just jumping to see over a fence.
Honestly, that's me. That's me, just having a look round. Everyone's like, oh, is he working out, or is he just being nosy looking over the fence?
You've got the perfect excuse there. Perfect excuse.
Exactly, yeah.
Do you usually train on your own when you're in normal circumstances, normal times? Do you usually train on your own, or do you and the team usually train together?
We'll always be training together. I think generally the only time that you'd probably train by yourself was if you were injured and you were coming back on a specific sort of rehab program, and say if you weren't allowed back on the rugby field. Our squad's been very good at everything's almost integrated, because being alone, and for sportsmen in teams, I'm sure sportswomen are the same, but like not being together creates just a bit of a strange environment, and you can be your own worst enemy. And so being in that team environment really helps training wise. And that's something that we've had to kind of adapt in what we do now, because you can't FaceTime anybody, or you can't do that when you're training training in the garage. But yeah, we'd normally be training in the group. And I don't know whether you'll ever be able to do that properly in the future. If you're wearing your masks and all that sort of stuff, you probably get away with it. But we haven't been asked to go back in and do any of that stuff yet. So we'll wait and see what happens.
Well, it's going to be interesting there to see if rugby as a sport can continue, because it is it is a contact sport. It's not close proximity. It is a contact sport.
Yeah, I mean, we were privy to some of the conversations where they were talking about the problems within the contact sport, exactly like, so you've got like rugby, NFL, and potentially even basketball, that the actual sort of face-to-face contact is so high. We think in football, you're tackling with your feet and all that sort of stuff. But for rugby, they wanted to change some of the rules and laws, I should say, and all that sort of stuff, so that the game was quite different. And then you're almost thinking, okay, well, would that be something that they do short term, or would it be long term? Because how long is this going to last? So it's one of those that whatever form the game takes on the way back, you just have to go with it. And then if it changes again, you change. Like it's the nature of it. It might change for the better, it might change for the worst. And so it's a really strange position to be in, because the whole premise of the sport is contact and like tackling and stuff like this. And you're not allowed to breathe on each other, or you're not allowed to do stuff like that. And then it's it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Well, I have got one idea, which I'm very happy to share this idea for free, and it can be, if it's implemented for free, all I want is somebody. I'm going to give it away free. I just want some acknowledgement.
Okay.
Zorb balls. Okay, we've all seen them. I want to see a rugby game played in Zorb balls, but you could have little holes put in there so that the rugby ball can come in.
Well, we used to actually train. We used to train, and we used to to practice tackling. We sometimes, do you know, you get these Swiss balls? Yeah. So it's a bit like that. And so you'd have one person holding the Swiss ball in front of them like this. You can't really see it. And then the other person would run up, and it was all about, because you couldn't wrap your arms, you just had to get shoulder contact, and it was all about how your shoulder hit and everything like this. And that just became a massive game, exactly as you're describing, the Zorb ball, because you'd run up and you'd hit someone, and if you hit them really well, obviously they would absorb all your force, and the ball would just sort of bounce them back like that. And I think it would make for a great game. I think make it a tiny little ball, like a tennis ball sized rugby ball. And I think that'd be good. And it would take away the guys that are really quick. Yes. Because you wouldn't be able to move your legs. So it would be like just wearing like a little tight skirt or something like that. And you couldn't do it.
I love this idea. And the idea where you switch halves halfway through. You could just switch who's wearing Zorb balls. So one day, half the team are wearing it, and then you switch it. Genius. And we just
I like it.
That's us right there. We need to copyright that idea.
Yeah, exactly. Get it in.
But thinking back to, rugby could potentially change forever. Do you find that a bit demoralising? Is that a bit of a hard thing to think about when you're working hard at home to keep yourself fit, to potentially go back to a sport that could drastically change?
Yeah, I mean, sport is always one of those things that I think it has to change with the times. I think it's like everything, it can be, they invented like 2020 cricket to give an avenue for test cricket to bring in different fans and stuff like that. And I think it's inevitable that sport will have to change at certain times. And this is just something that's forcing it to do it slightly earlier maybe than it wanted to. But there are, sort of health concerns with contact sports and stuff like that. And if this sort of COVID allows for there to be almost like a different sort of level of rugby, you could have like the tag rugby that maybe schools and stuff like that might do even more of, and then the contact rugby and sort of give other aspects. But no, I wouldn't say it was too demoralising for me, because sometimes I watch the games from, I think it was like ESPN Classics or something like that. They had games from probably only like 15 years ago, 20 years ago on TV. And you're like, is this the same game that we were playing? And I remember growing up, just the game being what it was. And then when I was playing it, it was exactly the same. And I imagine in 10 years' time, you look back at the game that I was playing and you'd be like, what are they doing? That's not really like the same game. But no, I think it's just sort of inevitable. I think I've been quite fortunate that within rugby sevens, we've almost been used a few times as like guinea pigs for certain rule changes and stuff like that. And so we've always just had to adapt to certain things, whether it be the way that teams play it or the way that it's refereed and things like that. Because as with anything, you can have like a new rule or a new law or whatever it is, and then people are always trying to find the best way to beat the referee or beat the system.
Of course, well, that's all sport, isn't it?
Exactly, and get away with it. And so I wouldn't say it was demoralising at all, really. I think it's just inevitable that sport will change. And I think if, some people are like, oh, it's got to stay true to its root and it's got to do this, and it does, and whatever. And I do understand that, but we have to stay relevant. And as with everything, sort of changing in the world, like if it doesn't change, exactly, if it doesn't, then it'll get left behind, and then it'll lose it will lose sort of the people that want to actually play it and want to watch it and all the enjoyment.
Yes.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens, because there's lots of things that they could do, but I'm one of those guys that's not paid to make those decisions. I'm just one of those guys that are told to go out and do it. So we'll cross that bridge when I need to.
Well, I need to know who tells you to go out and play, because I want to whisper in their ear right now, Swiss ball rugby. I want to see it.
Yeah.
I want to see
That's
it.
Yeah. I think you'd have an audience. You'll probably get it on Challenge TV and all that sort of stuff. Like they'll buy it up. Takeshi's Castle.
Just go straight into the BBC. Straight into the BBC.
Yeah,
I'd love that.
Yeah. No. Give it a go. Just Saturday night entertainment.
It'd be fantastic. So obviously we're hoping to see you back on the pitch soon. Let's touch on the Olympics, because of course you were pretty much set, ready to go to the Olympics, right?
Yeah, so we were really building up towards that, and almost just coming together to get into camp, and then get some training done. And rugby's a fickle sport in terms of knowing whether you're going or not, whether you'll be selected or anything like that. But it was we were in a good place as an England squad, and then we would have combined with Wales and Scotland, and knowing what the experience was like in 2016. Fortunately enough, I did it then. The training camp and stuff then was awesome. Like the quality of training, because you had the best players there and everything like that. It really did made it really, really difficult, but that made it really enjoyable, because you were really testing yourself. And so my sort of difficulty at the moment is not knowing where I'm going to be in a year's time. I don't know whether I'm actually going to do the Olympic Games. I don't know whether I'm going to still be involved within rugby. I don't really know where it sits.
Right,
and
okay.
My only real sort of disappointment right now is that I remember how good that sort of build up to the Olympic Games was.
Yeah.
Like the Olympic Games and everything was a fantastic experience, and and all that sort of stuff. Don't get me wrong, but like the actual experience of building up and coming together with these three nations and stuff, like we'd never done that before. And we had some good tournaments and the competition and all that sort of stuff. It just made for a really, really good story, and I really enjoyed that. And that's probably the bit that I miss. Like now, knowing that I potentially will miss that opportunity again, not specifically the actual competing or the Olympics or anything like that, but just that build up in that to camp and stuff like that, which was a pretty awesome experience.
So you're not sure if you'll head over to 2021 Olympics?
No. So currently, rugby is in a bit of a financial mess. Like the RFU are making losses. Scotland are making everyone's losing money because they haven't been able to play their games. And then if they do come back, they may not have full stadiums and all this sort of stuff. And so they have to project A, B, C, where are we going to be? What losses are we going to have? And unfortunately with rugby sevens, because we're Olympic sport, it's great, but then also in a bit of a pickle because it comes across three unions. So Scotland, Wales and England, they all have to agree to certain circumstance. And I think the RFU at the moment are putting together a proposal to take to UK Sport, I believe, to ask about potential funding, because UK Sport would fund a Great Britain programme, but then do they have funding from all the others and everything like that? So it's all a little bit messy at the moment. In my opinion, they should have done it 3 years ago. Like post Olympics, they should have just got it done, and then they wouldn't be in this issue. Like everything would be sorted. But the position it puts me in, as a father and stuff like that, is I'd committed to 2020 knowing that my little boy's 2 years old nearly, and I want to be the best father that I can be for him, and I want to be around, and I want to, I want to be here, and I want to move away from rugby on my own terms. And the position that I'm in at the moment, I may be able to do that. I might not be, because of the way that Corona is and the way that business is affected. But I'm just sort of keeping all my options open, because my issue with potentially going back to playing rugby sevens is I don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know when it will start. Rumours that the contracts might run from January to the Olympics, which would mean that I'll be unemployed from September to December. And then it's almost like, well, like it's fair enough if I was a sort of 22-year-old or whatever, I can go and just get a job. But I'm a 32-year-old man with a wife, a mortgage, and all that sort of stuff. And I was already ready to make that step and make that move. And so it might be that I just do that anyway now, on my own terms. But it's a fickle thing, and we don't know where we're going to be in 6 months. We don't know where we're going to be in a year. So I'm just keeping all my options open and just exploring all opportunities, because the last thing I want to do is burn any bridges anywhere. And the type of person that I am, I'm pretty up and down and straight and honest. So everyone that I've told this is the same story, that this is how it is. And that's the nature of COVID for an athlete of my age. That's the way that it is, unfortunately.
Well, we look forward to seeing what your next step. Have you got any ideas what your next step might be?
No, well, I mean, I'm exploring opportunities within sort of a coaching aspect, not specifically rugby, but more so around people, leading teams and things like that. Somewhere where I feel that I could sort of add value in an industry where potentially I wouldn't know the commercial ins and outs, but I know people. I know how to motivate. I know how to potentially understand people and get to know the relationships and stuff like that. And and I'd like to be able to get into an organisation where I could potentially learn the ropes, and be taught and stuff like that, because that sort of thing excites me. But then on the flip side of that, I'd love to be in somewhere learning, but also helping people, and whether it is just sort of mentoring or something like that, and helping using my sporting analogies that I have quite a few of, and just sort of making situations easier and giving people perspective. I'd love to be able to help do that. But who knows? Because at the moment, every other business, including Rugby Sevens, is sort of hiring freezes and everything like this. So I just keep doing what I'm doing, looking after little Bertie boy and enjoying that. And then when it falls and people are ready to make offers and stuff like that, I'll be there ready and waiting. But at the moment, we just keep pedaling away and see what happens.
Well, that's the spirit. That is what will get you through all this.
No, I tried to be, and with a smile on my face as well. I think that's the other thing.
Well, what's the saying? Smile and the world smiles back.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much in the world that is dreadful and that is not great, and I'm very privileged to be in a position that I am. So I can't begrudge potentially being unemployed in a couple of months, because that's just one of those things. There's plenty of people worse off than I am. So just have to keep going and deal with it.
Well, if that does come to it, we'll be expecting a video from you every week.
I was going to say, every couple of days with Bertie sitting on my lap. That's what it'll
yes,
be.
Perfect. Just watch our subscribers go through the roof. We'll have to rename it rather than being you. It'll just be Phil and Bertie.
Yeah, I don't mind that. He would love it as well. Although he'd probably just scream at the camera because he loves watching animals and things like that, and he would just be like bear, pig, and stuff like this. It's so funny, but obviously it would just get in the way.
Oh, that's adorable. Well, we're going to say a massive thank you, Phil. Thank you so much for joining us, spending some time with us this week. And thank you very much for your 3 previous videos. We're looking forward to seeing your next video, which is coming up in a few weeks' time. Coming up on the channel this week, we've got some great content for you, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's all coming up for you on For You. And of course, if you do want to get in touch to contribute to the channel, we are still looking for contributors. Drop us an email. It's contact4uproject@gmail.com. That's contact4uproject@gmail.com. Until next week, thank you very much for watching. And again, Phil, thank you so much for joining us this week.
No problem. Thanks very much.